Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on opening day. It is Thursday, the 11th of July, 2024. Going to look at all the races here on opening day from Saratoga, including the featured Schuylerville. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. Today you have Colonial Downs, a great card from there. You have the day one of the July Cup from Newmarket, culminating Saturday with the July Cup, of course. Today you have the Bahrain Trophy, which is always a good race. So check out that preview very soon. And also this weekend from France, you have the Grand Prix de Paris on Bastille Day. So it's just an incredible opening weekend of racing. That's what it's supposed to be in the height of summer. This is, basically for the next 8 weeks, you see some great racing throughout week after week, day after day, it seems sometimes. But opening day from Saratoga is always a good one. We had a bit of an amuse-bouche going into this year's Saratoga meeting with that, kind of preview for the Belmont Stakes Festival we had a few weeks ago up here. But we're back here for the next 40 days, and it's going to be fun. But we have a lot of races to look at, 11 races on this opening day program, quite a few big overflow field of horses. So let's get to it right now. Hopefully the rain stays away. But the first race from Saratoga, it's a claiming event going for a $50,000 purse race for 4-year-olds and upwards here, going for a claiming price of $20,000. We have a field of 11 horses going 1,800 meters or a mile and eighth on the Saratoga main track. I'm going to take the 5 horse here. I Am the Law as a top selection. 5-8-4-7 for me in the superfecta. 5-8-4-7 super. Top selection of 5 horse. I Am the Law. The 6-year-old gelding by Mashawish here. John Terranova, the second, trains this one. Luis Rivera Jr. gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing came in claiming 50 at Aqueduct, a mile on the 5th of April, and he finished third by 4 1/4 lengths that day. And it was a small group of horses. Only had 3 other rivals that day, and he was just a little bit wide throughout, and he couldn't get the good turn of foot. And he maybe just going a little bit too slow. I think his races about around 2 turn have been better. His races here, he hasn't won locally, but he's always run these sneaky good races locally. I think coming back here, back down to 20, which is a very low condition for him, I think he could really find a race to win. His buyers have definitely been up the scratch to win against these horses here today. 2 back on the 1st of March at Aqueduct, mile and eighth and up 6-2 claimer. He finished 5th by 4 3/4 lengths that day, and he was just a little bit wide throughout, and he just never was really comfortable that day. For a winter 2-turn Aqueduct race, I thought that was a very tough, tiring track, and also a very tough, tiring race for him. And then the 7th of January at Aqueduct on the slop, mile and eighth and up 6-2, another very tough race. He finished 5th by 2 1/4 lengths. He didn't get out of the gate so clearly, and he just couldn't get a good run. But if you look at his form, a couple seasons ago locally in 2022, placed here going a mile and eighth in a very tough start allowance race. Before that, in a very tough claiming 40, he had a decent 3rd place finish again, going around the race course well. But since and he won going around 2 turns at Aqueduct at the end of 2022 quite easily. Then when they stepped him up in some tough allowance races last year, he just wasn't up to par. He's running good races on the speed figure side, but he just, couldn't beat those horses. Back down to 20,000, which I think is a good condition for him. I think he could get the job done. I think his second likeliest winner here is the 8-horse Rocco Strong for Kendrick and Michelle Giangelo. Most recently on the 7th of June here at Saratoga, a mile and a quarter and allowance up 62. She finished 7th by 42 and a half lengths that day. Just wasn't staying the trip. Also tough horses. Arthur's Ride is a decent horse. Looks like he's going to do something decent after that race on the front end. Actually ran a faster mile and a quarter than the Suburban and then the Belmont. So that was the fastest mile and a quarter of the meet that so far at Saratoga that week. But this horse was just wide and he just wasn't keeping up. Prior to that at Aqueduct in April, mile and eighth and up 62. Benedug is a decent horse. Beat this horse that day. This horse just wide and just never was really comfortable. Also, keep in note, shoe repair in the paddock before the race, so maybe then the horse was a little bit rambunctious before that. And then the Excelsior at late March at Aqueduct over the mile furlong. He finished 8th by 24 1/4 lengths. Very rambunctious, very wide, and just yielded late. He just wasn't getting into it. His race in January at Aqueduct, going a mile and the eighth in the mud and the allowance racing, winning by 4 3/4 lengths that day, closing up from nowhere. I thought that was a very good race. Ran 3 times here in the past. A decent second place last year behind Truculent last year, was the next start winner. I can find him winning. And also a horse that I kept seeing all winter at Aqueduct, or last fall at Aqueduct, the 4-horse Higher Quality for Wayne Potts and Tyler Gaffleone. He's a bit of a very rambunctious horse in the prelims of the race, in the paddock and on the track. But when he runs in the track, he'll always run these sneaky good races. They dropped him for 16 here at Aqueduct over the mile in June, where he won by a neck. And before the race, I don't like betting horses cold. I like like looking over the race. And if I lose, I rather, have the thought of I lost because I did the work, not just, you see a horse at 6-1 on the thing and you're going to bet it. I really want to properly handicap before the race. But that day, I put a nice win wager on him at 6-1, and he won. And I bet him cold, and he ran terrifically that day. He closed up early, a little bit wide late, not wide late. He went to the inside late, and he held on to it. Daddy Knows was nearly catching him, but he ran his heart out. That was a very good return to the winner's circle. He's running faster races than that, but it was still a good run for the first start in the Potts barn. Prior to the Jacobson barn over the mile and claiming 25 the week prior, he finished 7th by 14.5 lengths that day, and he was just wide, not keeping up. And then off the bench in a claiming 20 at Aqueduct, he finished 6th by 6.25 lengths, where he just wasn't getting into it. His races last fall weren't bad at all. Won at Pimlico quite nicely, a decent third in October at Aqueduct, and then a decent third around the one-turn mile. I think back around to Saratoga here today, back around 2 turns off of a decent run last time out. He might have to get a little quicker off his recent buyer numbers, but he can definitely get the job done. I'll definitely use him on the bottoms of the trifectas and supers here. But to recap my selection now for the opener from Saratoga here, the first of many races throughout the meeting, gonna go look at the number 5 horse, I Am the Law. Give kudos to the 8 horse Rocco Strong and the 4 horse Higher Quality, 5847 Super, 584 in the multi-race. It seems like this is a continuation of Aqueduct with this first race. You see a lot of these horses all winter running against each other at Aqueduct. Now they're up north at Saratoga, so it's cool to see them run. But let's get to the second event from Saratoga. So we've been at Aqueduct a little bit too long, so it's good to see a change, but I have to make sure I keep saying Saratoga now. Second race from Saratoga to the turf course for the first time this season. It's an allowance optional claim, a purse $115,000. Race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. Never won $20,000 twice in the main claiming starter or staper and allowance race, or it's never went through a race here. Optional claim price $62,000. We have a field of 10 horses, including part of an entry going to post, 8 and 9 are MTOs. Actually, we have a field of 8 horses going to post to the inner turf course, 2,200 meters, or mile 3/8 on that inner turf course. Rails are up at 9 feet. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 3 horse Be Your Best, 3-4-1-A-2 in the superfecta for me. 3-4-1-A-2 super. Top selection, 3 horse Be Your Best. This 4-year-old filly by Mahar here. Rashid Palace trains. Ira Cheese Jr. picks up the mount. The horse's most recent outing came just over a month ago here at Saratoga. Mile 3/16 in the Mellon in the Grade 1 New York Stakes. Beat nobody home. Finished 13th by 10 lengths that day. Was wide and just wasn't catching the better horses. Who won that day. Really terrific horse for Nacho Correa's. Warlike Goddess actually won on Sunday at in the Dick Memorial quite nicely, but this horse just wasn't, up to par. I think coming back to a mile 3/8 here today for the first time, lesser quality horses. I think this horse could get a better trip here today than she did a month ago. Prior to that, the Buena Vista at Santa Anita, a mile on the 3rd of March, she finished 4th by 4 3/4 lengths that day. She just kind of stalked all the way around the race course. I thought she wanted more ground, but she ran her heart out that day. And then over the mile and a quarter in the Grade 1 American Oaks at Santa Anita on Boxing Day, she finished 2nd by 1 3/4 lengths. Anisette just caught this horse late. She ran her heart on the front end, but again, not a bad race in defeat. And then they actually ran the horse against the boys in the Twilight Derby at Santa Anita over the mile and the 8th on British Cup Classic Day. He finished 8th by 1 3/4 lengths that day. Not the best beginnings, but was closing up well late. For an 8th place finish, it wasn't bad at all. Hasn't won since her 2-year-old campaign here at Saratoga in 2022 in the PG Johnson, where she won by 3 3/4 lengths, closing up from nowhere. Good race. Came back to run an Aqueduct on a boggy turf course after that to run a good 3rd place finish in the Miss Grillo. But if you look at some of the races she was facing last year, those are tough horses. Way down the class ladder against this lounge quality horses, she could definitely win. I also think a mile 3 should really suit her well. The 4 horse Aspen Grove, another horse getting serious class relief from her previous races. Most recently, it's in the New York over the mile 3/16 here on the Mellon. She finished 7th by 5 lengths that day. And again, she was just wide, just not keeping up. Her modesty on that soft turf course at Churchill wasn't bad at all. She finished 3rd by length, really closing up well late on a wide trip there. And then the Hillsborough, she finished 2nd by half a length. And again, she really closed up well on the inside. She won the Belmont Oaks last year at Belmont on the inner quite nicely. Came back to running the on the boggy turf course against the boys in the Saratoga Derby, where she finished 5th by 5 lengths that day, where she got around a race course okay. But I think coming back here to a mile 3/8, down in class, training well here on the Oklahoma turf, she could win. The pick 4 begins with this race. I would use her there. But to recount my selection for the second from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 3 horse Be Your Best. Give kudos to the 4 horse Aspen Grove, 3-4-1-8-2, 3-4 in the multi-race. The third race from Saratoga now It's a main claiming event going for a $45,000 purse, race for Maine's fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. Statebreds here going for a $30,000 claiming price. Field of 11 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. Going to take the 10 horse Needed as the top selection, 10-3-7-4 in the superfecta. 10-3-7-4 super, top selection 10 horse Needed. This 3-year filly by Brethren here. Linda Rice trains. Jose Lascano gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing in the Tom Worley barn came in a main 25 for Statebreds at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs, 11th of January. And the horse finished 7 by 12 1/4 lengths that day. This horse left out of the gate quarter horsing it out of there, and they set some good fractions early on. But he couldn't keep the fractions late, just kind of yielded late. It wasn't the day to win. I think coming back up north to 6 has run races I think that could beat these horses off the bench, training well locally. I'm going to give this horse another shot in the Rice barn here today. 2 back, the horse ran in main 30 at Aqueduct on the slop 6.5 3rd of December. Finished second by a neck that day, and again was dueling on the front end on that very speed favoring track from, again, a very wide poster, 12-12, which is not ideal, especially in Aqueduct, but was wide, but just missed late. He ran her hard on the speed favoring course, and then 6th on the 9th of November at Aqueduct, main 30, first start on the dirt surface. He finished 4th by 4 1/4 lengths. Not the best beginnings, was a little bit wide and just needs something more. Has definitely improved with every single race, refreshing here off the bench. I'll give this horse on the ticket. I think the 3 horse Nay Jude for Kelly Breen and Irad could win also. Most recently at Aqueduct on the 20th of June, 6 furlongs in the main 30. She finished second by 11 3/4 lengths that day. She didn't get out of the gate so clearly, but again, she was closing up well late, but the winner was much the best. And then off the bench, 6.5 in the main 30, down into from main special weight to claiming events. She finished third by 1/4 lengths again, a little bit wide, but got around the race course okay. Training well at Monmouth. I'll give her a shot here on the ticket, and even the 7 horse here going for glory for David Duncan, Jose Gomez. The last few just been a little bit, tough trips with this horse. It was stupidly wide on Cross Bay Boulevard, and going on the 20th of June at Aqueduct, where this horse just wasn't keeping there. Or not Cross Bay, she was wide on Rockaway Boulevard over there, and she just couldn't keep up there. Prior to that, going 6.5 in main 30, she finished third by 1/4 lengths. Again, another wide trip, and then she's just again wide before that. Hopefully, bit of a better trip here today with a stronger pace. She could win. Training well at Belmont. Give her a shot in this one. But to recount my selection for the 3rd from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 10 horse Needed. Give kudos to the 3 horse Nay Jude and the 7 horse Going for Glory. 10-3-7-4 super. 10-3-7 in the multi race. Let's get to the 4th event now from this. The 4th race from Saratoga, it's an allowance optional claimer, purse $120,000, race for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards, number 1, $20,000, 3 times over the main, blah, 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 blah. Optional claiming price of $80,000 here. 9 horses are entered, the 9 horses at MTO, 8 will head to the Mellon, the 1,100 meter journey, or 5.5 on the Mellon turf course. Rails are up this week at 12 feet on the Mellon turf course. Going to take the 4 horse Run for the Hills as a top selection. 4-1-A-6-2 for me in the superfecta. 4-1-A-6-2 super, top selection, the 4 horse Run for the Hills. This 5-year-old mare by Run Happy here. Mark Cassie trains. Jose Ortiz gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came here at Saratoga a month ago. 5.5 on the Mellon and the Grade 2 Intercontinental. And the horse finished 5th by 2 3/4 lengths that day. And she sat back early from the rails. She swung out wide late. Futures now really ran terrifically in the front end. This horse, she closed up well late. I thought she wanted more ground, but not a bad race. Refreshing against these quality horses. Not the world's deepest race. It's pretty deep for an allowance race though, but it's not as deep as the Intercontinental or the Unbridled Sydney. I think she's going to be in a proper spot to win here today. I thought her race at Churchill on the 3rd of May, going 5.5 on the turf and the Grade 3 Unbridled Sydney, wasn't a bad race at all. She finished 3rd by a half a length that day. She sat back early, stupidly wide late. She just missed, but she ran her hard on a turf course that was playing towards front-running horses there. And then prior to that, on the 7th of April, Keeneland, 5.5 in allowance race, 120,000, won it by 1 1/4 lengths from a strong tracking trip. She was a little bit wide late, but she really flew home. She's making her second start here at Saratoga, first start during the regular meeting. Her turf sprints over the winter at Gulfstream weren't bad at all. She's training well since the last race locally. I give her a shot on the ticket. I think the second likeliest winner is the 1A, Lady Mia for Christoph and Irad. Most recently hasn't been seen since late April at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs on the outer and allowance race 82,000, where she won by by a length that day, and basically on the front end, she took the inside to get the job done. A very, very good, strong, good ride by Irad that day. Prior to that, again from the inside, at Aqueduct in a 6 furlong start allowance race in October, she won by a 3/4 length, and she left out of the gate, and she flew home clear, 78 Beyer, and her second start stateside wasn't bad at all. And then first start in 11 months at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs in the allowance race, 100,000. She finished 6 by 6 1/4 lengths. First start of the season, she was wide, and she just wasn't keeping up that day. She desperately needed the race. Her races before that in France as a 2-year-old, she had quite a few races, and they weren't bad at all. She had a very good place in the Premier-esque, a very good, tough 2-year-old race at the end of the season at Chantilly in 22, and then had a decent third at Chantilly before that. But refreshing here, training quite well at Belmont. She's another very likely winner. We're going to use her in the pick 4 here. But to recap my selection for the 4th now from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 4-horse Run for the Hills, give the kudos to the 1A horse, Lady Mia, 4-1A 6-2 Super, 4-1A in the multi-race. The 5th race now from Saratoga, it's a main special weight purse, $90,000 race for mains 3-year-olds and upward statebreds. Field of 10 horses, going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. I'm going to take the 7-horse here, Brown Eyed Cat, 7-9-1-8 for me in the superfecta, 7-9-1-8 Super. Keep sounding like I'm saying 1A, but 7-9-1-8 Super. Top selection, 7-horse Brown Eyed Cat, 3-year-old colt by Big Brown here. Bruce Levine trains. Javier Castellano gets on this first-time starter. This horse, training quite nicely at Belmont on the training track. 5/8 mile drill, 3rd July, which is last Wednesday. 5 furlongs and 59.3 from the gate, the best workout of 10, and then another gate workout, 5 furlongs in a minute, 1/5 of a second, the best workout of 6, and then 5 furlongs in 102 and 2/5 of a second, 8th best workout of 5. Starting here against these quality horses shouldn't be a problem. Bruce Levine has great numbers with first-time starters, with only 17 offerings, 29%, which is with a very good, strong ROI of 447 here. With main special weight first-timers or main special weight in general, 22%. So you're getting a trainer that has good first-time outing numbers. You have a horse that's been training quite nicely from the gate and from the poles at Belmont quite nicely. I think he's sitting on a very good race. Getting Javier up doesn't kill at all. I'm going to give this horse a very good shot on the ticket. I think the second leg of this winner here is a 9-horse Concord Spirit for Belmont and Junior Alvarado. Most recently started here at Aqueduct over the 14th of June. 6th in main special weight for statebreds, where he finished 3rd by 11 3/4 lengths. Was a little bit wide, needs something more late, but really gained a lot of ground from the back of the pack that day. Again, since the last race, been training quite nicely at Belmont. Half mile in 49 and 2, and half mile in the mud in 48 and 4. Back here against these horses, he could definitely win dropping down to this race. And even the first dirt horse here, the 1-horse New York Scrappy for Mark Cassidy and Flavian, most recently on turf in June at Aqueduct over the 6. She finished 3rd by 6 3/4 lengths. Didn't break so well that day and had a bit of a bumpy trip down the backstretch, but was gaining that day. Going to get blinkers on from the inside. It looks like she has some speed from the gate if you go by the workout patterns. Second start outing, 3-1. Let's use this horse in the pick 4 to end it off here. But to recap my selection for the 5th now from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 7-horse Brown Eyed Cat, give kudos to the 9-horse Concord Spirit and the 1-horse New York Scrappy, 7-9-1-8 Super, 7-9-1 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 6th event from Saratoga, which is main special weight purse, $80,000 race for mains 3-year-olds here. We have a field of, and the restricted horses, I want to mention that now, for horses that sold or RNA for $50,000 or less in their most recent sale. But we have a field of 16 horses that entered. 11 through 16 are AE, so 10 will head to the main track, 1,100 meters or 5.5 on the turf on the main track. Going to take the 2-horse Will Not Be Swayed, 2-5-8-1 for me in the superfecta, 2-5-8-1 Super, top selection 2-horse and Will Not Be Swayed. First time starter here for Brad Cox, Tyrrell Philip by War Will. Flavian Pratt gets them out. Another horse, keep an eye on for Brad Cox, 25% with the first time starters, Tyrrell's 27%, so his horses really do fire. They haven't been firing this weekend though, until very late in the card. Late in the weekend, but early weekend just had a bit of a quiet weekend. Brad Cox, but this horse is training quite nicely at Keelan. Most recent workout there on Friday, 4 furlongs at 48 in the 4, 22nd best workout at 81, and from the gate the week prior, half mile 47 and 4, the 8th best workout of 20, and a half mile 49 and 3, the 72nd best workout of 126. Something I like about this horse with the workout patterns, they're going from gate to pole to gate, pole to gate, pole to gate. Week prior from the gate, 48-3, the 14th best work out of 113. So it looks like this horse could get out of the gate so clearly. First time outing here from the inside, getting Flavian up. I'm going to give this horse on the ticket. I think the 5-horse Flaming Glory, making his third start for Nacho Correas and Dylan Davis, wouldn't surprise me if this horse finally gets a good trip to win. Most recently at Churchill in June, 5.5 in a main special weight. He finished 5th by 11.75 lengths that day, and he just kind of yielded off the front end early on. Maybe just, going a little bit too fast. I think letting the horses run in front of him run a little bit better, letting horses just set the pace and he could just stalk here will be a little bit better for him. On debut, going 5 in the main special weight at Churchill, he didn't run half bad at all. Finished 3rd by 1.75 lengths. He sat back early, closed up well late. Not a bad race that day. He's training well at Keeneland. Coming here, I'm going to give him a shot on the ticket, but I'm quite interested in Will Not Be Swayed. I think he could be a good horse here today. As the season goes on at Saratoga, you really have to start looking at these 2-year-old races, especially on Saturdays where you have those good 2-year-old races where you'll probably see a Triple Crown winner in some of those Saturday 2-year-old races. But, this is where the 2-year-olds really start to heat up. But to recap my selection for the 6 now from Saratoga, going to take the 2-horse Will Not Be Swayed. Give kudos to the 5-horse Flaming Glory, 2-5, 8-1 Super, 2-5 in the multi-race. To the 7th event. The 7th race from Saratoga, it's allowance optional claimer purse, $100,000, race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, statebreds here. Optional claim price, $45,000. We have a field of 13 horses entered. 10 through 13 are MTOs, 9 will head to the Mellon, the 1100 meter journey, or 5.5 on the Mellon turf course. Going to take the 4-horse MZ Big Bucks, 4761 for me in the superfecta. 4761 Super. Top selection of 4-horse MZ Big Bucks is 4-year-old filly by War Dancer. Michelle Nevin trains. Kendra Carmouche gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 24th of May at Aqueduct. 6 furlongs on the outer and option 45 for statebreds. The horse finished 3rd by 3.5 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked that day. The winner just had the jump on him. Solo running second, is running back of this one today. Ran a decent race, closing up from nowhere that day. But this horse, he ran her heart going around the race course. I think with a strong pace up front here today, second off, I think this horse could get the turn of foot to win here today. 2 back, the horse ran option 45 at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs the 16th of November. Finished 6th by 7.75 lengths that day, and again was just a little bit wide that day, and just kind of yielded late. I do think her better races have been on turf. And then prior to that, option 45 here at Saratoga last summer over the 5.5. She finished 5th by 5.75 lengths that day and got quarter horse to get good position out of the gate, but then just kind of yielded off of it. They tried the horse routing in the New York Stallions prior to that. Orange Freeze ran terrifically. This horse just kind of stalked that day, had the lead for a split portion, but just wasn't staying the mile. I do think this horse wants to go 7 like she did at Belmont, the Widener last June, and the New York Stallions winning by 2 lengths on the front end. She really ran a terrific race. Problem is she can't go 7 for quite a few seasons at Belmont because it's not existent, the turf course or the grandstands right now. So I think 5.5 back here with strong pace, second off, is what this horse can do and can win off of that. I'm going to use her on the ticket. I think the 7-horse here, Marco T for Manny Franco and Christoph can win also. Most recently, the Starebred Allowance race at Aqueduct over the 6th in June. Went by length that day. Not the best beginnings, but she really closed up well from the back of the pack. A very good race third off. Prior to then, the Soaring Softly against Open Company at Aqueduct over the 6th. She finished 6th by 5 lengths, and again was just a little bit wide, never getting into it that day. And then the main special in early May at Aqueduct over the 6th. She won by 3.75 lengths and saw a good pace to close up into. Quickened up nicely. An all-around good race. Coming here off of a decent race last year in Statebred, a main special weight, has definitely been on the improve. Quick turnarounds from previous races. At 3-1, this horse can win, and even the 6-horse Weekend Rags for Flavian and Jorge Abreu was winner in an allowance race at Aqueduct in May, quite nicely. Second off, the races last summer, weren't bad at all. Does her better stuff on the green stuff. I'm going to give her a shot on the ticket also in the pick 5 that begins with this race, the late pick 5. But to recount my selection now for the 7th from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 4-horse Ms. Big Bucks. Give kudos to 7-horse Marco T and the 6-horse Weekend Rags. 4761 Super, 476 in the multi-race. To the 8th event now from Aqueduct, or excuse me again, I said Aqueducts. But the 8th race from Saratoga now, it's a starter optional claimer per $70,000. Race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, never start for a claim price of $50,000 or less, which never won a race on main claim starter, $35,000, blah, 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 blah. Field of, let's see, Field of 14 horses entered, 11 through 14, which would be a good group of horses if those 4 horses can get on the dirt, our main track onlys. But 10 will head to the inner 1,700-meter journey, or mile 16th on the inner turf course. Going to take the 4 horse Lakeside Getaway, 4-5-2-9 for me in the superfecta. 4-5-2-9 super, top selection 4 horse Lakeside Getaway. You're not far from Lake George. I love a good weekend at Lake George, ending the weekend off Sunday at Saratoga. But Lakeside Getaway, Michael Trombetta trains. Jose Lascano gets the mounts. The horse's most recent outing came in a allowance race for 80,000 at Aqueduct, mile 16, 25th of May. First start of the season, he needed the race. He finished 4th by half a length that day. He stalked, he had the lead, he got caught by quite a few horses late, but he ran his heart out. I think refreshing here, second off the bench to Saratoga, where this horse ran last summer. Not the best of trips. I think this horse could, get redemption from that last defeat and his most recent Saratoga race. Prior to that, Laurel claimed 25, mile 16, 17th November. He finished second by a length that day, and he was setting some good paces on the front end from a wide posture. Kind of yielded late, but he ran his heart out that day. And then prior to that, another wide trip and claimed 25 at Laurel. Went in by 2 1/4 lengths. He left out of the gate, and then he really took off clear. This horse finally gets a good poster. It's been 9 of 9, 10 of 10, 12 of 12, 11 of 11. Finally getting 4 of 10, which I don't think is half bad. This turf course is very speed favoring at Saratoga. And low posters are well. He has that. He fits the criteria, which I think is good for him. He ran here last summer, going 5.5 in a state bred main 40, which wasn't a success for her. She finished 5th by 4 3/4 lengths. She was wide, and she just wasn't getting into it. Came back to win after that at Clonal in main 40, winning by 3 3/4 lengths from a track and trip. She flew home clear. So has the ability here, training well since the last race, 5-1, drawn well. I'm going to give her a shot on the ticket. I think the 5 horse Silent Melody for Jorge Abreu and Flavian can win also. 14th of June was the previous race at Aqueduct over the mile furlong in the start and lounge race, where the horse finished 4th by 2 3/4 lengths. She was just wide, never getting into it. Prior to that, optional 50 at Aqueduct over the mile 16, she finished 4th by 5 1/4 lengths. Again, just not really running up to par there. She ran a fast race, but she didn't get the job done. But she ran a main 35, stepping down at Gulfstream in April, where she won by a half length, really closing up from nowhere. A very good run. Her races last spring weren't bad at all at Belmont, where she was definitely improving with every single run. Back here, I'm going to give her a shot at getting Flavian up at 6-1. I think this horse, getting Flavian should really suit him, should suit together with the both of them. But to recount my selection now for the 8th from Saratoga, going to take the 4 horse Lakeside Getaway, give kudos to the 5 horse Silent Melody, 4-5-2-9 super, 4-5 in the multi-race. Let's head to the 9th event now from Saratoga, which is an allowance optional claimer purse, $120,000 race for 4-year-olds and upwards. Never won $20,000 3 times on the main claim starter or staple allowance race, or never won blah 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 blah. Optional claim price of $80,000 here. Very good allowance race here. We have a field of 10 horses going 1,800 meters, or a lap around the main track, which is a mile and 1/8 in circumference. Going to take the 6 horse here, Rocket Can, 6-4-3-7 for me in the superfecta. 6-4-3-7 super, top selection 6 horse Rocket Can. This 4-year colt into the mischief. Bill Mont trains. Junior Alvarado gets them out. Horse's first start in 10 months came the 16th of March at Oaklawn, a mile and off 6-2 claimer, first time older horses, first off the bench. The horse was a success, winning by 1 1/4 lengths, sitting back early after not the best beginnings, was a little bit wide, but really closed up well into the race. Got the job done. That was a good return to the races. Refreshing here off that run, training well locally. Belmont can get these horses winning at a mile and 1/8 off the bench. I'm expecting this horse to really run well here today. Ran the Derby last year at Churchill before that over a mile and 1/4, 6th of May. She finished 9th by 11 lengths that day, and he just never was really comfortable, never had the turn of foot. I do think he got beat by slightly classier horses on the day. And then going into the Derby, ran in the Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn, a mile and 1/8 on the 1st of April, finishing 4th by 4 3/4 lengths that day. This horse was just wide and just, again, wasn't getting into it. Had a decent place before that behind Forte in the Fountain of Youth, and then basically won for fun in the Holy Bowl in 2023 at Gulfstream. The Churro form wasn't bad at all, except the Saratoga races, where this horse just saw some tough horses. Actually got beat by Disarm in the debut. He came back to run against Instant Coffee after that in the sophomore effort, and then finally broke the main at Churchill quite nicely in late October of 22. But refreshing here today, back around 2 turns off the bench. Not the world. It's a deep allowance race, but not as deep as you could find. I think, or as deep as they have been in past. But I think he could get the job done. I'll use him on the ticket. I think the 4-horse Atrocious from Chad Brown and Flaving could win also. Most recently at Monmouth and Salvatore Mile, he finished 7 by 12 1/4 lengths that day, and he just was flat that day. Ran terrifically over the 1-turn mile though in op 6-2, where she won by 2 lengths, closing up from nowhere. I thought that was a very good effort. And then off the bench, we need the race in op 6-2 here over at Aqueduct, where he finished 3rd by 1 3/4 lengths behind stalemate Blazing Sevens, who ran terrifically that day from going from nowhere. But this horse, he got around the race course okay. I do think 2 turns is something this horse will do better with. One closing up from nowhere from a wide poster here 2 seasons ago in the Curlin Stakes, winning by 4 3/4 lengths, getting the job done with a very nice 95 buyer. Came back to run the Travers where he disappointed, and then around a 1 turn in the Perryville at Keeneland in the fall of 22. Just wasn't getting into it. He won finally back at 2 starts at Aqueduct quite easily, but I think coming back here around 2 turns again, training well locally, I think this horse could find a trip to win. I would use him in the pick 4 here, or the pick 5. But to recount my selection now for the 9th from Saratoga, going to take the 6-horse Rocky Can. Give kudos to the 4-horse Atrocious, 6-4, 3-7 Super, 6-4 in the multi-race. Let's get to the featured 10th race from Saratoga. The featured 10th race here on opening day, it is the Schuylerville Stakes. It's going for a purse of $175,000, race for 2-year-old fillies here. We have a field of 11 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs in the traditional opening day feature, the Schuylerville. Going to take the 3-horse Sherbini as a top selection, 3-5-1-6 for me in the superfecta. 3-5-1-6 Super, top selection 3-horse Sherbini, 3-year-old filly by Cairo Prince, Mark Cassie trains, Florent Giroux gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came on debut at Churchill, 5.5 on the 16th of June. Was a success in that main special weight, winning by 3.5 lengths from a tracking trip. He sat back early, a little bit wide late, but he had the turn of foot to go away with it. Very good race. Since the last run, has been training here at Saratoga, half-mile drill in 48.4, the 3rd best workout of 20 that day. Mark Cassie, decent numbers in this race. He won this race quite a few years ago with a good upsetter. With his 2-year-olds, they really do fire. They do get a little bit overbet at times, but they do fire. I think getting Florent back up here should really suit this horse well. I think he's sitting on a good race. I'll use him on the ticket. I think the 5-horse complexion for Danny Gargan and Johnny V could win also, cheerfully by complexity. Bought this one for $400,000 here at Keeneland 2023. I think this horse could be a good player in the division. Most recently at Aqueduct, going 5 in the main special weight for 90, 14th of June. His horse won by 6.5 lengths that day, and basically on the front end, not the best beginnings, but after that was quarter-horsed home, 58-1. Behind Manatee that day, maybe not the fastest 5 furlongs we saw at Aqueduct, but for Johnny, this came a close second between those 2-year-old horses he had at Aqueduct that really ran well in June. This horse really flew home clear late with that 77 buyer. Since the last race, he's training quite nicely, half-mile drill locally and 49-1 on the Oklahoma. Coming here, second off. Danny Gargan's 2-year-olds have been really firing late the last few seasons. I'm going to give this horse on the ticket, and I think the 1-horse Aroki for Steve Asmussen and Joel Rosari can win also. I bet this horse in the Astoria, where she finished 2nd by a head that day. She closed up from nowhere that day, but she ran her heart out that day, and then a restricted main special weight at Churchill over the 5, winning by 1 3/4 lengths, really closing up from nowhere. For that being the horse's first start for this horse to gain that much ground, I thought that was good potential of a run. I like that they've kept this horse here at Saratoga since the Astoria. Getting Joel up, who's a very good, finishing rider. I'm going to give this horse shot at 8-1 in the ticket. Schuylerville could always be random at times, so I think you want to go a little loaded in this one in the multi-race scenario. But to recap my selection now for this 10th from Saratoga, it is the Schuylerville. Going to take the 3-horse Sherbini, give kudos to the 5-horse Complexion, and the 1-horse Araki. 3-5-1-6 Super, 3-5-1 in the pick 5. Let's get to the nightcap here on day 1 of the Saratoga meeting. The 11th race, it's the main claim event, going for a $55,000 purse. Race for mains 3-year-olds and upwards here, going for a $40,000 claiming price. 16 horses are entered, 13-14 AEs, 15-16 are MTOs, 12 will head to the Mellon, 1,700 meters journey, or mile 16th on the Mellon turf course, 12 feet the rails are up at. Going to take the 9-horse here, Kick a Buck as a top selection, 9-6-5-8 for me in the superfecta. 9-6-5-8 Super, top selection 9-horse Kick a Buck. This 3-year-old gelding by More Than Ready. Chad Brown trains, Manny Franco gets the mount. Most recently, they ran the horse for a main special weight at Aqueduct, a mile on the 15th of June, where she finished 6 by 6 1/4 lengths that day, or 6.5 lengths, excuse me. let's get that right there. This horse just kind of stalked all around the race course and wasn't keeping up. His last 2 races, I just thought he saw some very tough races. Prior to that at Aqueduct in April, mile 16th in the main special weight, he finished 4th by 4 1/4 lengths that day. He sat back early, he moved a little bit late, but again, he just wasn't keeping up with those slightly better horses. On debut, he showed potential at Gulfstream, mile in the main special weight, he finished 2nd by 2 lengths, where again, he had not the best beginnings, was stupidly wide, but he really gained a lot late. But, I like that they're going to drop him for 40. He just wasn't keeping up with those, those tough allowance horses. Down here to the clamming ranks, where Chad Brown has very good numbers, 37% dropping a horse down. Off a little bit of refreshing, also has decent numbers. I think this horse is really gonna get a good trip to win at 9-5. Forwardly paced, should suit this mountain turf course. I think he's a very likely winner. I think the 6-horse Alacran for Tom Worley and Javier can win also. It's 15-1 here, but he shouldn't be. He ran most recently in main 40 Aqueduct with mile 16th, where he got caught late. He finished 4th by 3 1/4 lengths. He just kind of yielded that day, dropping down, but he showed potential from his previous race at Monmouth over the mile 16th in the main special weight, where he finished 10th by 16.5 lengths that day. And again, he was on the front end, just yielding there. And then at the fairgrounds in maiden optional 50, he finished 11th by 20.5 lengths that day. He stalked, but then just couldn't keep up also. His races, over the winter at the main special weights at fairgrounds, where he wasn't winning, but he was running these good places that day on the front end. They're going to probably send him. Let's see how far his speed goes. At 15-1, I'll give him a shot on the ticket. And even the 5-horse Sugar Hook for Tom Amos and Tyler Gaffleone. Again, tough main special weight at Churchill in mid-June over the mile 16. She finished 6th by 10 lengths, never getting a trip to win. Her race before, where she had that 3rd at Churchill over the mile 16th, wasn't bad at all. And then her fairground races, weren't bad at all. If you look at some of the horses she's been facing, those were tough races. Way down to a 40,000 claim price. Another trainer that has good numbers, stepping horses down, 31%. I'm going to give this horse shot at 8-1 on the ticket in the nightcap. Very good get out leg of this multi-race wager, so this might be one of the best betting opportunities of the day, so I think you want to go deep in this one also. But to recap my selection now for the 11th from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 9-horse here, Kick a Buck, give kudos to the 6-horse Alacran and the 5-horse Sugar Hook, 9-6-5-8 Super, 9-6-5 in the multi-race, and tell you the truth, I'm probably going to do a 3-horse exacta box with all 3 of them here today, so for $1 it's going to cost you $6, for $5 it's going to cost you 15, so you want to go a little deep here today, or not 15, what am I saying? It's going to cost you for $5 $30 or something like that. Can't do math. I've been talking for a half hour, so let's finish this up here. So good luck to all. Please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Remember, go check out my Colonial Downs opening day preview and my July Cup previews from Newmarket, and join me throughout the Saratoga meeting for some more selections. Good luck, everybody.